or do you prefer Mike Neal, Dr. Neal?
Dr. Mike Neal once or twice, just so people realize I'm not Joe Blow off the internet. That's all.
There we go. Makes perfect sense because it's important, and I want everybody to realize that too. So welcome in to Vision Pros. Dr. Mike Neal has earned his position as a doctor, and that's super important for us to realize because people who have put in that much diligence to be able to gain their education, gain their craft, they have, I might call it a little bit obsessive. People who get to that level of education, and that's a good thing because it's like, wow, they've uncovered every nook, cranny, and corner of the surface of the things that they lead on. And we're going to talk about optometry a little bit today. We're also going to talk about culture, leadership, and team, and what things Dr. Mike has learned about as he's been building his business. But thank you, Mike, as well, for also being a human being. That is a rare and super well received reality. Did you ever have a time in your life where you required people to say doctor every time? And was there an evolution there, or were you always human/doctor?
Well, I don't know that I've ever identified completely. A doctor is not who I am. It's what I do. I'm an truthfully, I'm an entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist body. That would be the most accurate thing to say.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally fair. I remember the first doctor I met who literally, I was 16, and I was a new patient of his, and he walks in, long hair, and says, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "Jackson." He said, "Call me Dean." And I was like, "This guy's cool."
Yeah.
And so I love what you talked about in the book. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. The first chapter is my favorite chapter of probably any secular book. It talks about your R versus your I, your role versus your identity. So thank you for leading with that, because I believe wholeheartedly in the same concept. Our identity is not
great.
our role. Continue with that. Feel free.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great title. I haven't read that, but I wholeheartedly agree with it. Yeah. What would be part of my identity is helping people. That takes all kinds of different forms, of course, and just generally trying to get people to have a little bit of a better day than they would otherwise if I'm around, or when I'm around, I should say. So that's kind of my thing. It's simple.
I love it. I absolutely love that. They say a smile, right, or a simple "How are you?" can make an impact on people, can change the world, and I'm also of that mindset and believe that. So speaking of, Dr. Mike, what are 3 resources that you recommend for other visionaries that have helped you get to where you are currently?
Well, there's things and there's books, but I want to zoom out a little bit on that. I would say number one, if you're not reading because you don't have time, or you're not reading because of, and I don't just mean reading Amazon or like books, audiobooks, whatever, but if you're not consuming the wisdom of the past, boy, oh boy, I think you got a tough road ahead of you on the entrepreneur side. There's this really interesting quote that I wrote down the other day. I'm just pulling that up as we talk. It's by Aldous Huxley. That men do not learn very much from the lessons of history is the most important of all the lessons of history. So I think reading is fantastic for entrepreneurs in trying their absolute best to not repeat the mistakes of others. And as far as specific books go, one that I absolutely love, well, there's a couple that I absolutely love. Oh, now, of course, I'm blanking on the name. I'll have to come back to that. But
Sure.
it's that fellow. Maybe you've read it. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. It's that fellow that studied Rockefeller, Napoleon Hill. That's the author. And what was the name of his book? I've read it like 6 times.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Bingo. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. So read that book.
Let me embarrass myself. I've heard of
What's that?
it and millions of times, probably 1,000 times, and I'm one of the few people who decided not to read it yet. So,
You know,
uh,
I understand that. And the title is so misleading because it's all about money, money, money. It's not. It's how to build incredibly effective, extremely high value organizations. And I wish that it didn't have the word money in the title, but hey, it's, not my book.
well, it has rich, right? So that's that misconception of like it's not money, but it alludes to it. You're right.
Yeah. And, it doesn't, you're right. It doesn't have money in the title, but uh, rich can mean a highly joyful, wonderful life, but that's not how people take it. Anyway,
Yeah.
my point with that book is that I've read that, I think, 6 times. And so many modern business self-help type books, like advice books, they all come from that. It is remarkable how many things peel back to that book, and I think it was written in 1937 or something like that. And so that is truly one of the foundational books that I recommend to people to start there.
Love that. By
Yeah,
the way, and it is 3 resources. So I love that you started with wisdom of the past, because a resource, kind of like the word rich, it's meant to be expansive. It's not meant to just be a book, but the 3 things that have empowered you, and that's that you could get real creative with that if you want to. You got one
yeah.
more.
Well, another one is learning.
Hmm.
To be a lifelong learner. I mean, you're trained to do that as a doctor. That wasn't hard for me, but to be a lifelong learner, that takes all kinds of forms. Truly, all kinds of forms. Like, for example, you can learn from your team. There's so many, especially in healthcare. Healthcare is ridiculous for this, where it's so hierarchical. All the knowledge comes from the top. The doctors walk on water. Blah blah blah. Oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. That is such an incredibly narrow, siloed way to think of things. Ugh, it's just not for me at all. But hey, guess what? Your team, they're people, and in healthcare, you're in the people business. If you're not going to last very long. But
Right.
they're all people, and so you can learn from these folks. You can get to be a better doctor, a better business owner, a better everything by realizing that these aren't minions working for you. You're working with team members, and that sometimes gets lost on a lot of people. So
Love
that's an
that.
interesting thing. And I think the third for me is vision. How to, in an absolutely crystal clear way, formulate your vision and communicate it to your team. I think that is by far one of the top 3 things that a CEO or a business leader, for lack of a better term, any leader needs to get extraordinarily good at and completely dialed in on, so that there's no ambiguity. You can hand off this vision to your team and they go execute. And that's where the
Oof.
magic happens. The really, really extraordinarily world-changing high-end entrepreneurs, top 10, top 20 of market share, Forbes, like, all the CEOs you've heard of and know their names. That's one of the things they're truly spectacular at, and they achieve that vision no matter what.
Yep. I love what you just threw down. Learner and learning about learning. We can drive people away fast with this topic, and that's okay. If you're not the right person for this, we want to respect your time. But those who really get it, I'm just going to pull this book up and show a little bit. This is Strengths Finder 2.0. And I found out my number one strength in life was learner, through that program. And one of my other top 5 was visionary, and being able to lean into both and understand how to maximize those strengths. It's one of the greatest blessings of my life to unpack that and uncover that through Strengths Finder.
I think I
So,
read that when I was around 21 or
yep,
so, and
I was
it
22.
completely changed my life. Marcus Buckingham, I think he wrote the original one, and what an
Really?
incredible insight that was. Mine were very different. Like, yeah, very different. Learner input, 2 of the top 10 for me. Maximizers, one of my top two.
Mm.
Strategic is another, and
Yeah.
explains a lot.
I had
You
a
know,
strategic and achiever. Right,
yeah,
right there with
achiever
you.
as well. Oh boy, time out here for a second. If you haven't read that book, it'll save you $100,000 in therapy. I'll throw that
Ooh,
one out there right now.
huge.
Just
Love that. Love that way to put it.
yeah,
Huge.
just roll out, get the book, take they even offer the Strength Finder online.
Mm-hmm.
It will change how you approach things
You
in
got to get it new
incredible ways.
too, because you got to get the code so that you can get your top 5, and it's totally different than the actual book version too, because it,
Yeah.
it breaks down for you. My wife and I, my first wife and I, it was one of our early first dates. Was we decided to do that together. It was one of our best dates of all time. We laughed until we cried. We were both learners. That was both of our first thing,
Oh,
and
wow.
her answer was completely different of how she learns than mine. We had totally different reports.
Yeah.
And so it is an incredible resource to really unlock our strengths. So I thank you for letting me add on to that.
Oh,
Wisdom of the
absolutely.
past, Napoleon's Think and Grow Rich, lifelong learner, and diving into being a visionary. And those of you who are on the show, those of you who are listening, I mean, that's what this is all about. So dive into being a visionary with us. Come on the show with us too. We're going to be right back. We're going to dive into culture, leadership, and team, because Dr. Michael has built a couple of different businesses, and he's understood the value of building with teams. And visionaries, don't shut that idea down if you're by yourself. You don't have to go it alone. You don't have to have massive amounts of capital and resources to start to evaluate and prepare for teams. Hang in there with us on this. I know that can be a scary topic, but we're going to do our best to help you see how to evaluate that with more patience with yourself, more patience with others, and we'll try to conquer and accomplish everything we can over the next 30 minutes. We'll see you guys on the other side. All right. Welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Calame. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live. I'm your show host, Jackson Calame, founder and CEO of First Class Business. And I'm really excited to have Dr. Mike Neal on with me today. He's got a brand new business called buildmyteam.com. He's also an optometrist, and he's a bit of a serial entrepreneur. So there's a lot that we can uncover and unpack with that. I love talking to visionaries who've been at it for a couple of decades, because they have a depth about them. They understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that they've come across along the way. They also understand that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of the heart. It's not easy. It's something that is simple, but also extremely complex at the same time. Usually the simplest things in life are kind of like a baby. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that analogy where it's at. We're going to continue with talking about some of the resources that we want you to be able to dive into if you're at the stage. So one, we're going to start with Home Studio Mastery with Junaid Ahmed. He's also the host of Hacks and Hobbies. It's a top 2% podcast globally. How could it not be with the quality of studio that you see right in front of you that he has set up? And he does studios all over the country. He may have his first worldwide deal actually this week. We'll see. But Dr. Danio of the Hair Restoration podcast, in addition to, we were building out the studio for this advisory firm over in Atlanta. It was fun to shout him and see how much depth and detail he goes into building world-class studios. And if you're in a position where you want to launch your vision in a way where you are an industry leader, this is one of the best things that you can do, is create an amazing environment studio where your industry flocks to you and floods to you and says, man, this person's doing things right. Start talking about the frequently asked questions in your industry. Start interviewing experts that are associated with what it is that you do. And that can take you to great heights. So let's move on to Dr. Danny Brissell. Dr. Danny Brissell is a worldwide speaker as well. He's become a great friend of mine. He's been working with us for about 8 months, and he has a program called The Reading Habit. The Reading Habit is a program to help parents inspire their children to learn to love to read. And in a world where devices are taking over, in a world where education is still not moving at the rate that I think most of us as parents want, he's one of the greatest resources to help you unlock that superpower of helping your children really fall in love with something that can change their life forever. As Dr. Mike just talked about, becoming lifelong learners, and making sure that we make the effort to read. And I also like something else that Mike talked about. He talked about not just reading books. There are ways to enhance and amplify and improve the way that we read. There's all sorts of new technology we can utilize. I again recommend getting to know Dr. Danny Russell. While his price and offer you see there says $2,997 down to $97, I've been working with Danny on making sure that we launch a freemium version of this program and also have a dollar offer incorporated in it so we can help more people throughout the world. And so that launch is coming very soon. Let's move over to the water project. The water project is not something that we work directly with. It's just something that I contribute to. When it came across my path, I realized that there are millions of people in this world who don't even have access to the resource I take for granted every single day. And I just have it flowing to my house. I bet most of you listening in do too. Well, we have the opportunity to make an impact where this organization is so transparent about how they go about what they do. If you just give even $10 to one of these water projects, you get to see what they're building, and they send you the proof that they built it as well. I can't think of too many organizations where we can make more impact. But my hope is that if you know of another organization that you'd like to see us support, that you'll leave a comment and let us know what the organization is. I will take a look at that personally and see what we can do to help out. This picture really hits my heart. It's of children celebrating water with even more enthusiasm than my own children celebrate Christmas Day. That's humbling. And so you may not be in a financial position to make an impact on the water project, but I hope that you will use this opportunity to perhaps talk to others the same way I'm talking to you right now about it, and see if somebody in your network is interested in even hearing about it. You don't even have to ask them to contribute. Just share the idea. Your share may lead to somebody contributing $100, $10,000, $100,000, and making a generational impact for thousands of people throughout the world. So it's all about that, guys. We've got 8 billion people to help in this world. And my hope is to inspire you to step up and do just that. Wherever you are, wherever you're standing, lift those who are in need. And let's get back to lifting you up. So I'm going to bring Dr. Mike on stage. We'll talk about culture, leadership, and team and his vision. Dr. Mike, welcome into Vision Pros Life.
Thanks so much, Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's dive right in. Mike, what is your vision?
2020. Just kidding.
The optometrist nailed it. Love it.
Had to do it. So what I absolutely love is to create game-changing experiences for people. And I'm able to do that with a team, create the vision of what this game-changing experience will be for people, and assemble the team that will do an absolutely phenomenal job with it. And that's what I've done with Build My Team. We've created a way to hire people without using resumes, to do that in a mostly automated fashion that's extremely effective at getting these A players onto your team. And that's the long and the short of it with Build My Team.
Huge. That's such a huge vision. And in the wrong context or the wrong people, such a dangerous proposition as well. Right? It's kind of like cryptocurrency people who are going to promise to get you rich. It's like, there's people who can, and there's people who are probably doing that ethically, but they're so few and far between that it can be hard to really appreciate the value of what's said in that environment. So let's not tarnish this opportunity. I'm looking at you saying, I like the way this guy represents himself. I really like the way that you go about branding, and you're pragmatic, you're compassionate. There's elements that I pick up as we go through this interview where I'm like, okay, and you understand the value of team and the importance of it. For the sake of the audience, we're going to go in order. I want to ask so many questions like, well, how do you find the people? If you don't use resume, what do you like? My brain wants to, and my heart wants to drag me through a bunch of immature questions. Let's start with culture. What is culture a key element of this, or is it something that is not as important? What are your open thoughts on culture?
Oh, I think culture is incredibly important, especially in a small business where you don't have oodles of people. You've got a small number of people. They all know each other personally at some level, and they interact. The entire team may interact with the entire team on an average day. that's a big deal. So to think culture is not important, well, that's probably why you're having troubles with your team if you feel that way. So, in that particular case, look in instead of outward. But yeah, what we're able to do with Build My Team is to meet you where you're at with your culture and show you and help you actually change the culture of your team.
Love that. And so here's what's neat about that, and why I'm grateful about it. I have personal bias in all of this, by the way. Guys, Mike has his own company to run. Him and I are both producers, not consumers. It doesn't mean that we don't learn, but I guarantee you he doesn't have all day to go and watch all of our episodes. Right? That's not what producers do. They produce results. So Mike, our vision at First Class Business is vision first, then culture, then leadership. Then we move into marketing, operations, fulfillment, sales, and support, specifically in that order. So I'm glad to hear that you value culture because, awesome. Somebody who's doing amazing, understands the value of culture. It verifies, validates the path that I'm striving to learn and moving towards that next level. Leadership. What does leadership mean in terms of building out these brands? How do we lead? Should talk openly, fluidly about where leadership falls into play with Build My Team.
So there's a lot of different ways to take that, but I like to kind of tell a little bit of a story with regards to this. My job as a leader is I'm gonna use the bus example, getting the right people on the bus. So this will jump around a little bit, but first thing I do, and boy, this is all going to sound so linear and so incredibly easy. In reality, it's nothing but, and it's not linear, and it involves throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, all kinds of stuff like that. But job number one is to create the vision, as I mentioned earlier. Here's what we want to do. Here's the vision we're trying to achieve. In a small business, that can change a lot. It can change rapidly, and if that does, you own it and communicate it. But the vision operates functionally as a map. So now that we've got a map, we're here, we need to get to there. How do we do it? Well, we do that by, let's use the example of the bus. We get the right people on the bus. Oh boy, sounds so easy, doesn't it? Well, businesses perpetually struggle with this. Everybody does. If you are having troubles with that, good news, you're not alone. It's universal. It's not unique, it's universal instead. So getting those right people on the bus, that's what Build My Team was created to do. And what we do is we measure people's natural strengths and talents, which ties back completely unintentionally to Strength Finder. That's not a tool we use, but we do it a different way.
Right.
And the concept is that when people are working in a role that utilizes their natural strengths and talents, they are unbelievable. They are incredibly productive. They, talk about producing. Oh my goodness, the results can be shocking because they're being asked to be themselves all day long. They show up for work. They are themselves. They do what they're naturally good at. They excel in the position. Well, it's unavoidable.
Right.
And then they go home. And for the most part, they really don't think anything special because all they did was be themselves. And you look at the results that can create, you're like, oh boy, that's a lot of things. And special is number one because they're just knocking it out of the park on a regular basis. Now you contrast that to somebody who is showing up for work, being asked to be someone else, not who they are, struggling constantly. Oh, is this for me? I don't think it's for me. And there goes an hour or two of their time. I mean, that's a bad fit for the role. So
Right.
Our goal with Build My Team is to get those people, the right people for the position, onto the bus. And then get your bus all filled up, and then we make sure that they're in the right seats on the bus. That's what people forget a lot of times.
What's huge? There's a symptom too for this, right? One of the greatest symptoms, one of the easiest systems that I track on this is, are people dreading to come to work on Monday, or are they excited to come to work? If they're not in a natural position, they're naturally going to fight against that feeling. They're going to have that mopey energy. But if they are aligned with what they do and they feel fulfilled by what they're doing, they tend to show up where it's like, I'm excited to be here. It's like a birthday every day when people are in the right position. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. A birthday, Christmas. I mean, pick your holiday time of life, but it's something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not fighting. And I think that's key. Before Build My Team and approaching hiring using the strengths and talents approach for, contrast that to resumes. You get somebody who just wants a job, just wants a paycheck, gonna go punch a clock, all those things. And I remember I was looking at my phone Sunday nights, wondering, just waiting for the text about why somebody wasn't going to come in the next day. And, you know, thankfully those days are over for good, because I'm never hiring using resumes again. It's such a ridiculously outdated process. And the only reason to do it is simply inertia. That's it. There are new and better ways to do it. So getting those people in the right seats on the bus, that's critical. And then once you've done that, the next step as a leader is to find the person who's going to drive the bus. In a lot of ways, that's a manager. Getting them behind the wheel, giving them the map, your vision of where they need to go. And then the key point, you don't want to forget this one, put the guardrails on the road. Make sure you tell them what they're allowed to do, what's outside the guardrails. And then the next thing, Jackson, is really easy. You get the heck out of the way. You have to get out of the way. Let them drive the bus. And what you'll be shocked about is how fast they drive it, how far they get using far fewer resources than you can ever imagine. I mean, all of those types of things happen to me over and over, and it's nothing short of incredible.
That's phenomenal. And I love the depth of the analogy. I agree with you. It's not easy just because it is simple. Yet it's pragmatic, and it aligns with universal laws that are simple to understand, not like gravity or centrifugal force. Like all of us who drive know the bus analogy, right? And can relate to that and correspond with this. It's absolutely beautiful. So let's define a little bit too. What is your vision for those that you serve, right? So there's the reality of the bus analogy, and that we're moving. What is it that they can anticipate on the other side of this? What does life look like once they've moved into this experience?
So first of all, is they spend very little time on the hiring process, almost nothing, because the wonderful A+ B+ candidates are served up to them right into their email, and they do almost no work whatsoever, spend almost no time on the hiring process. That's number one. And what does that translate to? That's really easy. That's a virtually stress-free hiring experience. Can you even imagine?
No,
I mean, hiring.
I'm ready to sign up.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
Yeah. It's virtually stress-free because our team does all of the work, and they're able to pull the right needle in a stack of needles out from everybody else. And that's what our process does. By naturally, or by finding these natural strengths and talents, we're able to find the right needle in the stack of needles.
That's so enticing. Like I said, this is something that after this show, I'm going to bother you guys as well, and find out
No bother whatsoever.
This is what we do as visionary leaders, visionaries listening out there. When you come across somebody who bridges your gaps, who is able to help you overcome the challenges that you have, instead of passively leaning away from that and just taking notes. I do recommend taking notes, by the way. But take action. Take the actions. That doesn't mean overcommit. That doesn't mean I'm going to get baptized by Dr. Mike today. But I can explore what Build My Team is about. I can say, okay, I have certainly struggled, especially when it comes to hiring North Americans. I've struggled a lot. And when it comes to finding people that are great with service-based sales initiatives as well. It's so hard. It's so easy to find people who think they can be one-call closers, but I have an environment where I'm like, no, that's not a thing here. That's not how we build relationships long-term with people. And so Are there certain positions that you guys thrive on hiring and certain things y'all don't hire for? Or is this a universal process for hiring at any level, C-level, management, lower management, entry-level individuals? What does that look like?
We excel at entry level, administrative team members, clerical team members, any of those types of positions. We also hire managers. I would say not necessarily high level managers, although we've done that in the past. But our focus is on the entry level, and the people who work directly with the entry level folks. Can this be done with C-level executives? Of course, but there's other ways to work with those folks as well that probably yield a more appropriate impact to those types of decisions. There are companies that, like Predictive Index is one that I really like for C-level executives. Here's the person, here's what they're good at, what their, all their strengths, their talents, and it's a vastly wider range, because we don't need to do that. It's like we have optimized our process on entry level and administrative clerical type team members. We can, when we bring a person to the table for your business, we know they can do the job already. It's not a maybe they can do the job. We already know that. It's just whether or not you like person A, person B better. Which one do you think would be a better fit for your business? That's it. So you're not going to get oodles of candidates for high-end positions, but for the entry-level positions, you don't know, like you might get 100 applicants for a position. Where do you even start? Well, our software is automated. We know exactly what to do to figure out who the one or two best people are out of the 100 that might apply. That type of thing.
It's huge. And another big thing that you're alluding to with that is the principle that as well, we're slow to teach because we're still in the expanding phases of our version of what you're talking about. And we hire predominantly Spanish speakers. I speak Spanish fluently, so I get to bridge that gap. AI does an amazing job of helping Spanish speakers do English work, where the client doesn't need to interact with them, doesn't need to even know.
Yeah.
We're happy to reveal it. And usually the client gets to a point where they're like, Jackson, like, why can't I meet anybody? I'm like, you can. They do speak Spanish. They're like, what?
Yeah.
They can't see that. But you're talking about supply and demand as well, also being in favor of the business owner. And when you only have one potential hire or one office manager that has no risk, absolute freedom and control over their positions, there's a quote that applies to both the entrepreneur and the employee in that regard. And the quote is, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so both end up in a power trip position where the entrepreneur can make all decisions and is corruptible, and the employee who knows that you can't find somebody like me is also put in the exact same position. But you're talking about making sure that there's an abundance of applicants at your disposal. I hate that word in this context, right? We're not trying to dispose of people, but we are trying to figure out how do we put systems in place to then make sure that out of those people who are applying, the right one or the right few get considered. And it's an impossible reality that most entrepreneurs will never figure out without companies like ours. But you have the upper hand on this with what you shared by far. Your process, like I said, I say upper hand. That's why I'm like, no, I want to figure out how to build my team. This could be life-changing for entrepreneurs everywhere. And I want to end on one thing, Dr. Mike, my skepticism that I think everybody subconsciously has out there, but most people are so scared of they want to address it. And that's the statistics. 96% of businesses lose within 10 years. 4%, I've been consulting long enough, they survive. Out of those 4%, there's a small percentage of people who actually repeat success. And out of those, then we have to look at it and say, okay, out of this percent of a fraction of a percent, how many are doing it ethically versus how many are not? And so that puts us in a very, very precarious position where we don't know who to follow and we don't know who to
Mhm.
trust. And so I like what you're doing, where you're going. This is like you found the fountain of youth, in essence. So feel free to again run with that for the next few minutes. Help me get past my fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Well, it's done at a couple levels. One, we do the company does one thing only, and that's it. We find the best people for these positions, and that's all. It's not a recruiting company. It doesn't operate like that. We don't have a stable of people. I've heard that term used before. That's awful. We start everything from scratch. And as far as ethics go, if you don't believe we're ethical, try and move forward with us as a client and ask for something you're not supposed to ask for. You'll find out we say no. If it costs us the business, it costs us the business. We do video interviews for the finalists, and the reason we do that is to make sure that they would properly represent your business. It doesn't matter what they look like. I mean, our team reviews these video interviews. We used to send them to clients. We had to stop because a couple of the clients wanted candidates that looked a certain way, and that's not only illegal, but it's just wrong. So I take the ethical side incredibly seriously. We want our clients to forget that they ever have to hire again. Somebody leaves your business. Okay. You tell us what you loved about them. Tell us what you didn't like about them, opportunities for improvement. We kind of work that into our process for whom we're looking for your business. We find somebody better. Every time this happens, it's an opportunity to continuously improve. We have a feedback loop built into all of our processes, so they're already incredibly effective and improving all the time. So I would say from the ethical side of things, look, if you don't believe that we're ethical, don't do business with us. Plain and simple. Why would you? If you want us to do unethical things, we're not doing business with you. Just remember, we're able to ascertain our candidates' strengths and talents. We also schedule an initial consultation call with all of our new clients because we want to make sure we can actually help you. If we can't, we're not going to work with you as a client, because all that's going to do is cause us and you major problems down the road. So we just don't do
exactly what I was going to ask next.
Yeah. What we're looking for is
we're
looking for a relationship that lasts for years. I think our oldest client is somewhere around bordering on 7 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how many people we've hired for their business, oodles and oodles of people. But they don't even think twice about it. They just reach out. I need a person for this position, and off they go.
What does a business? That's what I wanted to dive into. Is I'm super picky, right, about who I'm going to work with. It's going to disrupt my energy if it's the wrong person. The client's going to be a fireball and a nightmare if they follow what most of the business world follows. And so we turn down a lot of people. We let a lot of people pass through the process because they're not going to have an appreciation for our culture. So what do businesses need to have in place in order to pre-qualify for Build My Team? And what are the things, what are the do's and don'ts of like, man, they're qualified or not to receive and to benefit from this process? Because I imagine, again, I know that you're looking at it the way that some of the visionaries, though, I know won't. You don't want to set these team members up for failure. These people that you might be hiring with a company that's just going to flop.
I think that is a fascinating question. This comes down to the capitalistic approach. Or should we take every customer? Well, the answer is no. What do you need to be a great client with us, not for us, but with us? You need to be honest about the problems you're actually having. No BS, none whatsoever. We've heard it all. It doesn't matter what's going on in your business. You need to tell us as honestly as you can, because we have to help you from a position of truth. And that's getting people onto your team. Like, if you're a tyrant, tell us you're a tyrant. We work with doctors. I mean, do you think that's going to surprise anybody? Oh my goodness. So if you're a tyrant, tell us you are. One of the things we measure is stress tolerance in candidates. We can put people on your team that aren't bothered by that. Um, if you don't tell us you're a tyrant, okay, then that's one of the reasons why you're cycling through people. So being honest. The other thing is kind. If you're mean, look, there's those t-shirts went around and were super popular for a while. Mean people suck. Nobody wants to work with that. If you're a mean person, we can't help your team because you're just going to cycle through people forever. But that's it. Honesty, kindness, and I think the third thing is to let us work. Our process works exceptionally well. Give us the ability to work for you, and that's the type of relationship that has us hiring for businesses for years and years.
I love it. I love it. And it's so interesting. I'm excited to catch up with you further about this a lot. I'm very excited because
Thank you.
You bridge a gap that's very important for us to be able to bridge as clients potentially scale. We have a system that's automated to repel clients, a lead gen process that allows us to recognize who's honest. I wouldn't say kind. I like kind, but I'm a big fan of the book Radical Candor.
Yeah.
And that book is it's like Think and Grow Rich. People misunderstand. Oh, radical means crazy like, and candor means super, super like in your face, truthful. But the book is designed around you love people enough to be able to recommend changes in their life that other people won't. And so modern kindness, or probably past kindness too, she labels as ruinous empathy, which is you love people so you don't tell them what they're doing wrong and you just leave them in this state of crap where they can't move forward in life. And that to me is not kind. And so I appreciate the pragmatic nature, the well-cultured nature that you bring attention to this topic. It is sorely needed throughout the world. And I wish you all the best on what you do, whether we get to come back or not. I think you'd make a phenomenal interview on my other show, thebeyourbestshow.com. And the Be Your Best Show is an environment where I will interview tremendous leaders about the good and the bad and the ugly. And it's a good 90-minute to 3-hour process where we just scratched the surface today. You and I know that. Business owners, they need to get the deep variables. Hence why I'm grateful for Stephen Bartlett as well. A Diary of a CEO, he dives to deeper levels with successful
That's
people.
fun. Yeah.
You're good.
It's fun to listen to him.
Yes, it is. And so we have big ambitions to be able to go that route, but you're somebody that I would love to have. It would be such an honor to have in that process, evaluating.
Thanks, Jackson.
And all of you who are listening in right now, you've got the website, buildmyteam.com. You got the ability to Google search Dr. Mike Neal and connect to them through that. We're going to, of course, put the show notes below the show, the episode. You'll be able to see the resources that we talked about. You'll be able to see links that we recommend going to based on that. And then in the top right corner, you're going to see a button that says Be Our Guest. If you would love to come on our show and share your vision, it doesn't matter if you found the holy grail of hiring the way Dr. Mike has, or you're in the process of incubating something like that. Come and share your vision with us. This is an environment where we want everybody to be able to step into their visions and inspire the world with what they're up to. And as long as you're doing good for others and trying to help people, then you're a visionary that's worth getting that message out there for. And we will see you guys all on the next episode of Vision Pros. Dr. Mike, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jackson. It's my pleasure. This is wonderful.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a vision.